What's good, guys? It's your boy Seamus. It's your boy Seamus VR here today. So I guess I'm deciding to do commentary now, or actually no, talk about stories that happened in my life. And today we're gonna be talking about this asshole that I'm gonna tell you what happened like with both parts of the shit. Okay, so like this dog is he yelled at my nan, and then because apparently, and I'll just never mind. I'll tell you whenever we're done. But make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. No joke, no scam. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, if you don't hit the like button, this guy will yell at your grandmother. So yeah, let's get started with the story. So I think it was a couple months ago during summer, I was playing airsoft with the boys in like this backyard forest that we had, I guess. And so we decided to go and behind someone's house, but it wasn't in his backyard. Like it was in a forest that he didn't own. And we were doing this for the past I would say a couple weeks at least, and he didn't care. But then all of a sudden, whenever we go back there just to have a little bit of fun one day, homie just decides to go all out ham on us and starts yelling at us. So what we do is we talk back to him. I mean, we're not just gonna let ourselves get yelled at like that because we're trying to have fun. And then he was like, "Get off my property." And then I just come out saying like, "We're not on your property. Stop telling us what to do. If we were in your backyard, then we would leave. But we're not on your property, so calm down." He's like, "Where do you live?" And my stupid self is like, "Yeah, I live over there. Go talk to my parents, see what happens." And then I guess I didn't really get, I mean, I did get in trouble, but at the same time, my parents hate him now. Yeah, and then also, the weirdest thing about it is he looked at my cousin's ass. Like, homie had the audacity to be like, "Yeah, and your cousin, and your grandchild, your granddaughter needs to wear some bigger pants." And then, oh, I was so close to kicking his ass that day, I swear, bro. Okay, and then so I got grounded for like a month because of that. I mean, I had my phone, I just couldn't really go outside for like actually for like 2 whole weeks. Because my parents loved me half to death, and they wanted me to go outside because I was trying to get outside a lot more over the summer. So like that happened, and so fast forward a couple months, maybe like a couple weeks ago. Apparently, so I was hanging out around his kids, and then, dude, I swear these kids are so, oh my god, it's so funny. So one of my younger friends, he accidentally ran over this worm, and these kids just ran up to it and started bawling. Like the thing was already dead, and they start bawling. Like, dog, you're crying about a worm. And I started laughing because it was funny that they were crying over a worm. They had a name for it, and I think it was like Jeremy or something. And it was the funniest thing ever. Cause dude, they were crying about a worm. A worm. And it's like, so what I did is I laughed at it. I made a couple jokes about it. And then whenever the older sister started insulting me, I called her the coronavirus because she kept making mean jokes about me. How I was like 4 eyes, and then I was like, your unibrow is literally bigger than my future, dog. And I guess she took that as me calling her and her little brother's a bitch. Like, dog, me insulting your unibrow is not calling you a bitch. Are you on crack? And so yeah, she went and told her dad. And what the bruh? Dude, I didn't even do anything. He's like, Seamus! And I was like, yes. And he was like, come here. And I was like, he was like, did you call my kids the B word? And I was like, to be 100% honest with you, no, but they were crying over a worm. They were literally crying over a worm. Maybe you need to, I didn't say this, but I was about to be like, you need to tell your kids to toughen up a little bit. Because clearly you're tough, but obviously they're not. So yeah, and then he starts talking to the other parent that's there, and apparently they're talking trash to me. He's like, Seamus, go home, and I was so close to being like, you know, I'm good. I'd rather not go home, cause I don't really have to. And then, so what I did is I go home, I tell my grandmother, and she's like, okay, just don't listen to him. And then the dog just comes up and sits on our porch like a pimp, and it's so funny because he's sitting there with this like pimp look, like he's a pimp, and it's so funny. He just sits there with his he had his arms crossed, and it was like he had this smirk on his face, and my grandma just walks up to me and was like, "What the hell do you want?" And he's like, your son called my kids a bitch. And she was like, well, that's not what he said happened. And he's like, well, that's what my kid said happened, and it happened. And then he was like, he's like, well, tell your kid not to do it again, and we won't have any problems. He was like, well, she was like, and then she started getting this whole dang conversation with him, and so then it leads to like the whole cousin thing, and he starts getting all defensive about it because he's insecure, and like, bruh. But yeah, so he decided to lie to my grandmother. And then whenever she started getting about how his kids called me a loser, like they just came over to my house and they knocked on my door and they were like, "Ha, loser." And I was like, "Okay, thanks a lot. That really makes my day nice and bright." Whenever I didn't really care, it was just kind of there to piss him off. But yeah, and then she went home, and then my nan started bringing that up, and then he was like, well, if I would have known, you should have told me. And then that's when he raised his voice at her, and I started shouting at him, dude. I was like, get out of my house. You never yell at a woman like that. I'll kick your ass if you do this again. And he just wasn't listening to me. And then I told him just to get off, like get away from here. And then he came back. He's like, maybe this is why your kids are like that. My dad started cussing at him. It was the funniest thing ever. So let's just think of his name as Jerome, or no, it's more like Randy or something. You know, he's like a Randy. He's so unbelievably cowboy. So like, this kid has like, never mind. Okay, but it was the funniest. It was the two funniest interactions that I've ever had with my life. So like I guess that's the end of the story now, because I'll keep you updated if something happens again. But like. Anyway, so that's the end of the story. Let me know if you guys like this whole story time thing. I know it's kind of short, but it's because like the only story that I could think. What the fuck? But that's like because of the only story that I could think of at the time. Like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And yeah, have a good day, guys. Love you all. And yeah.